How you doing? All right, Tim Forward, I got a question. How do we feel about gay people? Cool, okay. How do we feel about landlords? Cool, okay. How do we feel about my gay landlord? Right? That one's a little trickier. You know, yeah, I got a she-they landlord. Anyone else got a she-they landlord who isn't my roommate here? You're my roommate. Shut the hell up, Bella. I got a she-they landlord, and let me tell you, that was all fun and games when they were saying that they're trying to deconstruct the harmful relationship between landlord and tenant. But then when she-they didn't repair the hole in my bathroom because she-they was in she-their happy place, Hawaii, things got a little different. Recently, we got a new lease because our landlord wanted to change she-their name. Totally, that's awesome. Like, we should have a lease that is affirming to their gender identity. It just so happens that their gender identity involves having $100 more every month. But unfortunately, my gender identity also involves having $100 more every month. So we're at a bit of an impasse. We are at an impasse. I got a silly middle name. Anyone else in this room got a silly middle name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's more than one of you, but there's not more than one person in this room with my middle name, which is Fanny. And, you know, thank you. Give it up for Fanny. Fanny's everywhere. My parents, who are here, by the way, they thought about it, but not in the ways that I have had to in my life. Fanny, 8th grade, that was hard. Everybody knew that Fanny meant both butt and vagina. That was tough, but now that everyone is an anti-Zionist, diasporic, queer Yiddishist, it's hard in a different way. Let me Jew-splain to you for a second. When you're born as a Jew, you get your name, and then you get your Hebrew name. So most of the time, Rachel becomes Rachel, Sarah becomes Sarah, Hannah becomes Hannah, etc., etc. When I was born, I was given the middle name Fanny in English, but the Hebrew name of that became Fegele. Do you guys know what that means? Do you guys know what Fegele means? No. Fegele is the Yiddish word for faggot. So yeah, if people ask if I'm AFAB, I am assigned Fegele at birth. And I know my parents hated that joke because they really stand by my middle name. And also because once my mom and I got into a screaming match because I, as a term of endearment, referred to a gay male friend as a fruitcake. So I don't know how faggot's sitting with her right now, I'll be honest. I got another question for the room. Have you ever gotten a spider bite so bad that when you went to the doctor about it, they took you seriously even though you're fat? Yes. That ever happened to you? Because it happened to me, and let me tell you, that shit was crazy. I walked in there and I was greeted with, "Oh my God, that's a crazy spider bite," which is what I deserved. I still have the scar. And I was trying to figure out why it was that in this instance, like, I really got taken extremely seriously, and I realized it's because if there's anything I know about skinny people, which is a lot, there's a lot of you talk a lot, it's 3 things. I know 3 things about skinny people and what they are afraid of. Here's what skinny people are afraid of. Number 1, fat people. Number 2, having a friend who doesn't want to go on a hike with you. And number 3 is spiders. They're like, if I was a spider, it would be so hard to go on a hike. I would have to get insoles for all 8 of my shoes, and then I have 8 legs, so the possibility of me getting a leg cramp in one of my 8 legs would be so high. How would I possibly climb Mount Holyoke or even Mount Monadnock, the tallest mountain in New Hampshire? Can you tell I have skinny roommates, guys? Yeah, I don't want to go on hikes with my roommates, but I do like to work out. I go to the gym pretty regularly. Why are you cheering? That's wow. Oh, that's awesome. Let's talk. Yeah, I love to go to the gym. I love to lift. And on like a serious note, like, I just want to say, no matter your like body type, body size, level of experience, don't ever let anyone tell you that it's not gay to go to the gym with the homies, because it is. Because it is. I got top surgery around 6 months ago. You can tell by the shirt. And it was hard to get back into the gym afterwards, and not because I had to take time off to recover or because, they like detached my muscles from my body, but because when you bench press, you're supposed to line up the bar with your nipples, and I have no idea where those guys are anymore. You guys, my form is atrocious. Someone get a man in their stat to correct me. Speaking of, recently I was at the gym, and there was this guy there who was like the physically widest individual I've ever seen. He was like muscles out to here, mustache out to here, and he was wearing the most dick forward pair of shorts possible. I didn't know they made them like that, and I was in a life or death scenario. I was like inches from reaching the thing I needed to reach. And this man, this massive mountain of a man, comes over to me, and he pulls down the thing, and he looks me in the eye, and he says, "Hey, we take care of each other." Who is the we in this situation? What do we have in common? Sir, my head barely reaches your nipples. Like, I don't know how I was even in your eye line. I got a new job recently, and getting a new job comes with getting a new boss, which is always really interesting when you have a gender situation. Because, it's always some 60-year-old guy who has something to say. So I got this new boss, and it was a couple days into working, and he pulls me aside and he says, "Hey, is it okay if I call you she?" I said, I really prefer they, but like, whatever. And he says, "I'm not gonna remember that. I'm not gonna get that right. How about knucklehead?" I said, "Knucklehead? Works just fine, thank you." So now my pronouns are knuckle/head. And I do feel more represented by that than any other possible iteration. Before I worked at this job, I worked at a school last year. I worked at a middle school specifically, and around the time I started, I also started testosterone. And so I said to myself, I am in a really great position to be able to teach these middle schoolers like probably no one else before, because we are going to be going through puberty at the same time. And not to brag, but it was my second time. So I thought I might be able to impart a little bit of wisdom onto them. And so I imagined a conversation with one of the guys that went a little bit like this. I imagined me being like, "Yeah, man, it's like so crazy that I'm getting all this acne," and the guy's like, "Yeah, and it's so crazy that my voice is dropping." And I'm like, "Yeah, and my period stopped and the pH of my pussy is noticeably changing." And the guy is like, "Is that gonna happen to me?" And I'm like, "If you're lucky." When I worked at school, I helped out with the sex ed class, and that was super cool. It was like really cool to see that like these kids are getting a really thorough sexual education, and it made me think back to my experience in sex ed. I went to a Jewish middle school, and I thought that I would have gotten like a pretty thorough sexual education, with Jews being one of the more sex-forward of the Abrahamic religions. But that illusion was shattered when I saw the look on my friend's face when I asked her, "So when you have sex, does one ball go in or two?" And then in high school, there wasn't much of a chance for that to get remedied because I had to take health through the online school Mormon college, BYU. Yeah, through BYU I learned that it's a good idea to satisfy all of your wives, which was actually a great tip upon moving to the Valley. You know how some people are like, "I was born in the wrong generation,"
Yeah.
Cool. I'm not one of those people, and let me tell you why. I was talking to my mom, who's here, and she said to me, Everything about my life has been made harder by the fact that I am a short, fat, mouthy Jew. And I said, Mom, would it make you feel any better to know that I am a short, fat, mouthy Jew and I'm swimming in bitches, satisfying all my wives and fucking with both balls in?